For the next part of Space Invaders, we need to work on the enemy wave. So the enemy wave we want to think of as one unit. While each of the aliens are separate and we can shoot them separately, these aliens need to move all together. That's why we, in the past video for setting up, we have the enemies all in one parent game object. So when we do this next code, we need to think about this as a whole. And what do? Well, they move left and right, and they also go down. So when they hit the edge, the left edge, they'll go down, then they'll start going to the right. When they hit the right edge, they go down, and then they start going to the left. So we have to worry about how do we change direction. And then also what we're going to do is some of the aliens will randomly shoot. So we're going to need another script that'll do that. So over here in Unity, what we're going to need to do is make a new script. So create a new C# script called, I'll just call it enemy wave. Double click, open that up. So with enemy wave, what do we want to do? Well, we want to move left and right and down. So what we're going to need is a couple variables. First we'll need, of course, one that I always like to use, speed, and I'll say 5F. And also, we need one so that if we know we're going right or left. So think about the ball when we did in Pong. When we reset it, we always needed a variable to track which way we need to start the ball. Does it need to go left or right? So that was a directional type variable, so I'm going to make the same, private int, and I'm just going to say dir, and I'm going to set it to 1, positive 1. And what that is a positive number, meaning let's go to the right. And if it's a negative 1, that means whatever we take that, if it's a negative 1, we're just going to go to the left. And we'll use some simple math here to accomplish this. So let's go down to the void update. Now the void update, of course, is where everything moves. So we need to say transform.translate like we've been using. And in this case, we can use vector2.right, times it by dir, and times it by speed, and lastly times it by time.delta time. So how does this work? Well, vector2.right is always going to the right. If we times it by dir, which is right now positive 1, the value of vector2 right does not change. So continue going right. Then times it by speed and time delta time, that gets it going a little faster. Now, say direction was negative 1. And if it was negative 1, we would say vector2.right. So we're going positive 1 in the x. But then times a negative 1, meaning anything times a negative 1 just flips it. So instead of going to the right, it's actually going to go to the left. Times speed times delta time, which will get our alien going to the right. So just want to test this so you can see what it looks like. If we go over to the enemy wave here and I attach the enemy wave script and I hit play, we can see the aliens move as a unit to the right. Now, the next thing is when to change direction. Well, with our AI, a lot of AI, you need to sense things, right? So we're sensing where we're at. We're sensing if, in a first-person shooter, if the player is nearby, if I see the player, or maybe I don't see them because they're hiding, in the dark alleyway and it's dark and I don't know where they are. Or maybe I'm alert because I heard something but I don't know. Okay, so you're sensing all these things. So in our case, we're going to sense something for the AI. And what are we sensing for the AI? Well, we're going to sense our movement. So we need to track when we hit kind of the border or the edge here of our game. So just like we have done with like the gunship or the paddles with Breakouter or Pong, I would move my enemy wave, look at what my X position, so that's about 2.5, and then double check, see what the left is, okay, just in case if you're not centered. So negative 2.5. So those are about the numbers we want, is positive 2.5, negative 2.5 for me. So I need to know what that is to basically come down here and have an if statement and say, well, if my transform.position.x is greater than or equal to 2.5, then I know that my direction needs to be -1. I need to flip to start going left. Now, the other thing is then I want to move down, okay? So moving down used to be a little bit easier in Unity, where we could just access the transform position Y and modify it directly. Of course, now we can't, so we have to kind of go around it by saying vector3 kind of variable, so POS for my position, and I'm going to set it to my current position, and then I'm going to access the Y variable of POS, and now I can say minus equal, and I'm going to say 0.5f for now, and then I say transform.position, my position is equal to POS, so that basically modifies the Y value to go down. Alright, so you have this if statement here. I'm going to copy it, all curly brace and all, and paste it. And really, what this one will be right up here, this is for the right wall. And now this one is for the left wall. So the left wall will be what? Well, it needs to be less than equal to, so if we go past or equal to -2.5, we're going to switch directions. And which direction are we going to go? Well, we're not going to go left anymore. We're going to go to the right, so that's a +1. And then we're still going to move down. And that's what these 3 lines of code do. So go ahead and save it. Make sure you don't have any errors. Come back over. Now with enemy wave, I should be able to hit play, and it should go left to right. Now that is a little fast, so we might try like 2, halving it. That's not too bad. So speed of 2, or you could even slow it down to maybe a speed of 1. Yeah, 1's not bad either. We'll stick with 2.